Evie Magazine published this thread talking about actors who have refused to do kissing scenes and intimacy scenes because they're married, and out of loyalty to their spouses, they don't want to betray them in that way, by even if it's just an acting job. You can see it as a job, but for them it was more personal, and this is not the norm in Hollywood. Usually it's the expectation that you, as Arden said, you are expected to do intimacy scenes and have no boundaries around what you're willing to do on camera in order to keep working, and you might get the risk of an unofficial blacklisting in the industry if you don't. And I think that that's what happened to Neil McDonough. He's the first one on the list, and a lot of people are saying, haven't heard from him in a while. Neil McDonough said, "I don't like that kind of stuff, especially now with kids. I don't want to have my kids say, 'Hey dad, what are you doing with that lady on screen? These lips are meant for one woman.'" So I think that a lot of people have said he got blacklisted, and that's...
he works pretty regularly. What's funny about it is, like, I love that, but like he's in this great show called Justified, where he plays he works for, basically he sells drugs, and at the end he gets addicted to them, and he's just a freaking mess, and it's hilarious how good he is in that role. But yeah, he's very serious. And then even what was his character name? Who else? Chris Hemsworth has a really interesting story too with his wife.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth, I think, is probably the most famous actor on this list. Mm-hmm. He said, "The director comes up to me and he says, basically, it's just the final kiss of the movie. You have to kiss Natalie, but she's not here, so we brought in these girls. I know this sounds awful, but he said, 'Do you want to pick one? Who do you want to kiss?'" Like, they're just in a lineup. It's like a police lineup where you have to, like, point at someone.
He's like, "Can you zoom in on their lips, please?
Like,
zoom in on number one there."
And he said, "My wife's around the corner. Let's get her in." So he ended up having his wife in that scene instead. And he's the most famous actor that's on this list. But unfortunately, I think you have to kind of be a Chris Hemsworth in Hollywood to kind of make demands like that and actually be listened to. The other ones, not so much, but Neil McDonough is kind of the most, I would say, infamous
and then
for having these standards.
That was what I remembered. So Neil McDonough's, the woman who plays his wife in Arrow, when he plays Damien Dark's name is the name of his actual wife in real life.
Oh,
like
okay. Wait, wasn't there a couple? There's like a Hollywood couple that made a movie where
Kumail Nanjiani and his wife.
What was that?
So they made a movie about how they met and fell in love, but it's Kumail plays himself.
He plays himself, and she cast a different actress to play her
because she wasn't an actress. She was like a psychologist and a movie producer. But yeah, he acts in the movie with another woman, even though he is in the movie as himself.
I mean, just like knowing how jealous a lot of people are, but especially women are, I don't understand how you could possibly just volunteer that, like, we're hiring a woman to kiss my husband. Like, how does that even?
Well, I think that they when they spoke about making the movies, like, but she was on set every day, making sure that, I guess hands didn't stray, nobody got handsy, anything like that.
Yeah. So are you familiar with like intimacy coordinators, essentially?
Yeah,
what that entails.
I've never worked with one, but I did get a whole team of people, producers and writers, very angry with me on set because I wouldn't kiss a guy.
What?
Yeah. They let me not kiss him eventually.
Was like before intimacy coordinators kind of...
It just wasn't a big enough production to even have one. Yeah. And it was just like a kissing scene. But I decided like on the day that I was like, I'm not doing this, because I had met the actor who I was supposed to be kissing. And I had a strong suspicion he had herpes.
How did you know?
I mean, I saw like it might have been, and I was like, I just talked to them. I was like, look, I'm just not comfortable with this. I don't want to do anything I'm going to regret. And I kid you not, the female writer was like, everyone has herpes.
What?
And I was like, well,
and you're like, not me.
I'm
you're like,
I
excuse
think I'm
me,
one
speak
of,
for yourself.
Then yeah.
And how do they put you in that position? Like they can see.
They were mad. They were really mad, but eventually one of the producers came up to me and was like, "Don't worry about it. We'll fake it." So
It wasn't even like, oh, he's like not good looking or like I don't like him.
No,
it was like
no,
this
no.
guy has a disease.
yeah, I was.
that he's
I was
going
like,
to
okay,
spread
well,
to me.
I acknowledge like maybe it's not, but I don't want to take the chance just because.
I mean, did you ask him? I feel like it's. I mean, I
didn't
guess
wanna
it's
ask
rude to
him.
ask
I didn't wanna
someone
ask him,
just
no.
outright. But also, if it's your job to kiss this guy, you kind of do have a right
Yeah.
to like ask about that.
Yeah.
Also,
Oh.
remember the kiss between Seth Rogen and the girl in that movie that came out last year was faked on
was
set
CGI.
because of COVID. I think was the reason they didn't want
Yeah,
to do it.
COVID. Or was
COVID.
it because she didn't want to kiss Seth Rogen?
Yeah.
And in that case, I would understand.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there's a $20 one. There's a $20 one there from Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot said, like, it's like literally like when you like, you know how it is when like there is just like this Valley Girl affectation, which we like can't seem to like outgrow or control like crazy, right? Like
I say so much it's insane.
I do too.
Like I'm an ummer. Like
I'm an
I'm an ummer. Like I'll watch I always tell Mary like when we're done with the show and then we add the timestamps and everything like that. Mary has to play the show back and I hear my voice and I go, dear God, is that what I sound?
well, I
like
play it
now?"
on 2x speed,
It's even
which doesn't
worse.
help.
It's even worse. And I'm like, can you please take me off screen? Can you please not listen? Can you put some headphones in? Please. I can't listen to myself. It's so
I do it
awful.
on purpose to torture you.
She does. She absolutely does. But not just that, but there was other actors on here. Charlie Hunnam was on here, and I was like, he's not even married. But I guess he said he doesn't want to be unfaithful to his girlfriend as well. It's like, it must be a new thing, because I'm pretty sure he kissed a woman or two on Sons of Anarchy. I love Sons of Anarchy.
Well, it's like, you know, out of loyalty to my future
There's a scene.
wife.
There's a scene in season 1 of Sons of Anarchy, spoiler alert, where he kills a dude who's attempting to hurt his girlfriend and then has sex with her next to the dead body.
That's
Wow.
some Gypsy Rose Blanchard stuff right
Yep.
there. Evan Perry sent $20. She didn't want
His piece.
his piece to become her piece.
Gendered language. Gendered language. That's perfect.
I love it.
Now, the
but
real
Charlie Hunnam, you said that he was married for a couple years though.
Back in like '99, before like he was like
Okay.
it looks like he was
Well,
19 when he got married. and was
From
married
him,
till
it says,
2002.
everyone thinks it's great to be an actor and get to kiss a bunch of beautiful actresses in films, but I actually hate it. I don't want to kiss anyone but my girlfriend for my whole life.
Aw.
See, that's sweet.
That's so
now
nice.
he's just a pick me. I'm sorry.
Okay, you
That's-
think he's being
that's
a male
no,
pick me?
No, I don't. If I was a more cynical person, I would say he's being a pick me. But if he backs it up and he's not actually doing it, then I suppose then credit where credit is due, right?
Also, Candace Cameron Bure is also on this list. She was in Hallmark and
I
then
would love
moved
to
over
have
to
her.
Great American
I would
Family.
love to have her
Yeah.
on
We
here.
should
She is
have her
my
on the
Topanga.
show.
She is
I'll
my
reach out.
Topanga.
I'll make some calls. Her people and our people and everything. She said, sometimes I'm doing my Hallmark movies and we've got a new guy in each movie. I'm getting more uncomfortable with it the older I'm getting. I don't want to keep doing this. And it shows like pictures of her with her husband.
She's kind of in the
She's
same
very
camp
nice.
as like the lady from Ballerina Farms, where they just hate her because she's very
Yeah,
much in her own
yeah.
lane and doing her own thing, and she's so nice and kind. They hate that you're nice and kind.
It's pure
so
jealousy.
Kind.
Yep.
It's pure jealousy.
And she
and
does
hatred.
keep it real. She actually opens up and is like, by the way, I do not make everything by scratch or from scratch, and like I have days where I wear no makeup and
Yeah.
it's not always
Hannah Nealman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hannah.
Yeah.
I love her.
I love that. Have I ever sent you the videos of the satire account of the lady who makes she's got 2 kids and she makes everything from scratch, and there's this one the other
Yeah.
day.
Wait,
it's,
the peanut butter and jelly.
it's that
girl?
one, but there's more. Like they do even like more ridiculous ones where they make even more ridiculous foods from scratch.
Like Fruit Loops. I just watched
that was
the Fruit
what I
Loops
was-
one.
They make fruit. She makes Fruit Loops from scratch.
Oh, you showed me the girl who she made like I'm making my husband cinnamon toast crunch
and then
from
she
scratch
always looks like this.
Yes.
because I don't want him to eat seed
What's her,
oils
it's
or
like
something.
Lex DeRosa?
I don't
It's something
remember,
like
but
the-
there's
it's
like
just
a
funny
growing
'cause-
movement of like social media trad wives.
But this one's
Right.
clearly satire. The one I'm talking about is very
She's
clearly
being
satire.
funny, yeah.
She wears like the floral length gown
Yeah.
in the video. She's like, it's 6 a.m. Why would you be in that gown? I have no idea.
She triggers so many people
Oh, I
in the
bet, I
comments.
bet.
It's so funny.
Well, I found the other one the other day of the one who had like the OnlyFans trad wife.
That's
Yeah.
the Cinnamon Toast Crunch one.
yeah, that
Yes,
one. We
and-
know. We've looked at her
we
account
should
and
have
everything.
talked about that one today or eventually. That
Yeah,
one was
like
funny.
we'll save that for another time. But
But
yeah.
there's other actors on here, and it does deserve some credit,
Mm-hmm.
you know, especially if you lose out on work. Like, it is fair to point out that all of these actors that are being mentioned can kind of write their own ticket. They're big enough actors that they can afford to make those calls. It's a lot harder, I'm sure, when you're a lesser known actor and you want to stand on your morals when that is the type of work that can get you to the next level and advance your career further.
Or like not even morals, but just like personal boundaries. Like that's not even a moral thing. It was just like in your case, you suspected that this man would literally spread a disease to you. That's
Yep.
not a moral thing. It's not trying to like shame anyone who would do that scene. But they got so angry at you.
They were so mad.
Like what did they try to like lecture you about it, or was it more like you were just getting dirty looks?
because the writer was a female and she's the one who was actually like, well, like you knew there was a kiss going into this. And I was like, yes, I did. This concern just kind of popped up for me.
How would you have been able to
Yeah.
predict that
And
problem?
yeah, she was literally like, well, everyone has herpes.
That's so
And I was like,
bizarre.
It's the sexually transmitted disease version of everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
It's the cool new thing these days.
It's,
Herpes.
like
you
I
know?
always make the joke. I never experienced the cool kids saying, "Why don't you do these drugs?" I found drugs all on my own, but nobody was ever like, "You want to do these drugs, kid? Drugs are cool." That was never a thing. At least not that I ever experienced. But apparently it is. You know, it's kind of like the myth of the person going around giving out free samples. I also was never given these mythical free drugs. But
You just go to drug Costco and there are just
exactly. But
samples
it's like
everywhere.
the idea that there's everyone, it's getting cool. It's cool to get herpes. She says that's just weird.
It's really trendy. You'll be like Lena Dunham in Girls. And on the topic of sex scenes in general, I wanted to bring up this comment from Cillian Murphy about Oppenheimer recently, because a lot of people who watched Oppenheimer thought those sex scenes between Oppenheimer and Jean Tatlock seemed unnecessary. And I mean, I just personally don't want to look at Florence Pugh naked. That's just my personal preference. I'm sure I share it with plenty of people. And Cillian Murphy says that sex scene is essential to the story. And I would say sex scenes are never essential to the story, but here's what he said. It was his relationship with Jean Tatlock which was the thing that really made him lose his security clearance and ultimately cost his career. I think it was vital to highlight the intimacy and closeness of their relationship. And this is what he told the New York Times about it. I guess they were saying the artistic reason that this is necessary is it highlights how uncomfortable he was and how invasive the interrogation was. You can come up with all of these explanations all day and have the most pretentious justifications for the reasons like behind these sex scenes, but I think it really is just that Hollywood is kind of full of perverts who like to add these things where they do not belong.
I mean, I don't know if Nolan would fit into that category. Like, this is, like I said, it was weird to see this in a Nolan movie anyways, unless, like, it just didn't
Is that
seem,
rare for his projects?
He doesn't do a lot of, I don't know how many of his movies have been R-rated, but...
I've
like,
never
it's-
seen a Nolan movie before that had a sex scene in it.
Yeah, so, like, it was, to me, it felt like a studio note that it had to be there, but I also could buy that there is a pretentious writer and director that come up with the logic behind why it needs to be in there. And the thing is, when you work in a subjective field like that, that's as good as good of a reason as any for them. Like, it doesn't matter. And I just didn't. And then you found out that the camera broke down on set, and they had to like stay there naked and wait for the
Just
camera
sitting
to get
there.
fixed.
So awkward.
So awkward. Well, that's kind of what I was talking about is what actors are told in these classes, like sex somehow in a scene is automatically just like the most amazing raw thing, you know?
I will point out, Sketch Therapy says they could be in the bed under the covers, same effect. I actually laugh whenever I see in a movie or television show where they like get under the covers to have sex.
yeah.
I say nobody does that in the history of the world. Has anyone ever done that? I was like, do you just want to make your life sweatier and grosser on purpose right off the bat? It's kind of like when you watch network television strip clubs where they're wearing bikinis, and I'm like, what guy is paying money for a PG rated strip club?
Well, some states it's illegal for the strippers to be naked though.
Bikini
right?
bars are a thing, yes, but still, it makes me laugh. All of those things make me
I'm not saying it's realistic.
Yes.
I'm just saying I
I
don't
think
want to have to see that.
Sound of Freedom did a really good job at depicting those horrible sexual situations without actually showing any,
Yeah.
you know, sex or.
And that especially like exposing the children who were acting in the project to even the subject matter
Exactly.
was a sensitive thing
Yeah.
too that they had to comment on.
It makes me think similar to the way that Hitchcock used to show drug use without actually showing drug use, how they would be able to, you know, you see them make the line of cocaine and then they put their head down and you see their forehead move, but you never actually see them do any drugs. You can do that and it can be artfully done. It doesn't all have to be Wolf of Wall Street where they're snorting vitamin C for 10 hours a day, sending
Going
Jonah
to the
Hill to the
hospital.
hospital. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.